Good afternoon, and welcome to Conversations with Nancy J. I am your host, Nancy J. Lewis. This is a show, God-inspired show, where we're talking to ordinary people who are doing extraordinary things. They're going to talk about their successes, their challenges, things that they've learned along the way. And I know you'll be blessed as you listen to our guest today. Our guest this afternoon is Lori A. Mans. Welcome, Lori.
Wow, thank you, Nancy.
So happy that you're here with us today. So tell us who, I always start with, who is Lori A. Mans?
Well, I am a trailblazing business strategist. I am a marketer, a philanthropist, and just a professional woman trying to make a difference.
Yeah, you do. You wear a lot of hats.
Yes, I do.
You do a lot of things.
Yes.
And you do them well.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I try. I absolutely try. I want to be like you when I grow up.
To God be the glory. So, we all working for the mark, pressing towards the mark, the prize.
That's
Amen.
what we say.
Amen.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
but it's helpful to have people in your circle that are like-minded.
Yes.
People who love God and are not afraid to display their faith.
Right.
So that's always important. So tell us about, you do all these things you listed. So talk to us about some of those things that you just shared, the many hats that you wear.
Okay, well, as a business owner, I started Quality Media Consultant Group 10 years ago. And I was kind of forced into entrepreneurship, but...
We kind of heard that earlier. I heard that with another guest.
Yeah.
Kind of like forced. It wasn't something you really were looking for. Just kind of happened.
Yeah, well, it was something that I always wanted to do, but I was too scared to do it. So I got downsized, and God pushed me out of my comfort zone.
The nest.
And yes, I was forced to get my creative juices flowing. So I started my own company within 30 days of being downsized. And the great thing about being paid to leave a corporate job is that you have the money to start your own company.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what I did, and just decided that I wanted to help other small business owners and other entrepreneurs who were like me and had gifts and skills and talents, and most of all, corporate experience, but no longer wanted to work for a corporation anymore and wanted to try to forge, your own path just to see how you could navigate the entrepreneurship waters. And so I did that, and 10 years later, thank God, I'm still here.
Man, you're still standing.
I'm still standing, and it hadn't always been easy.
Well, I think that's what people have to hear, is that the reality is some people think, well, you're an entrepreneur, you get to set your own hours. I hear that. You can set your own hours, do what you want to do.
Work from anywhere.
Yes, and if you want to take a vacation day, you can do that. It's like, with those perks, there are lots of responsibilities.
Yes, yes. And the key thing to remember is that although you are your own boss, you have to be in charge over everything, and the buck stops with you. So you have got to make sure you have every I dotted, every T crossed, and understand that you are the brand. And you absolutely have to do everything you can to make sure that people know who you are, what problem you solve, and how you help people. And so that's all about branding yourself, branding your company.
Absolutely.
And it's a task. And it's also a faith walk.
I think that one thing that I learned probably more than anything else, it's a faith walk when you step out there, but when you really are walking in it, you really realize how much of a faith walk it is.
Yes.
And if you're an entrepreneur that doesn't have faith, you can't survive.
I don't believe you can.
Not to the degree, because there are times where you're supposed to get paid.
And you don't.
The times, you had this contract, it was getting ready to take place, it was going to kick off in January.
Yes.
It kicks off in June.
Right.
And so, yes, there are
But you were counting on that money.
Because you already had it spent. I mean, when we get a contract, as an entrepreneur, someone says, we want to do business with you, we like what you do, we're excited about getting together, and they said, we're going to do this in March. You're like, yes. So you already calculate.
Yes, you're calculating that money.
And then when they said, well, not March, June.
Right.
Which means you don't get paid till June.
Yeah.
So you have to know, really, the key part is just you have to keep going. You just really have to have strong faith to know. Doesn't matter what's happening. If God puts you out here, He's going to give you the vision. He's going to give you the provision for what you need.
Yes, yes. And that's also a trusting of God, but it's also projecting and planning. And so you cannot be an entrepreneur without properly planning your business and projecting what it is that you're going to make. And having that backup plan is always critical.
So talk to us about all of that, what you just said. Talk to people, because some people I'm sure, are watching and says, well, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'm scared to step out there because I got this job. But sometimes we're in jobs we hate.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many people. You travel, you do a lot of speaking just as I do. I was sharing some time ago, I've never seen so many unhappy people, stressed out people as I'm seeing in the workplace today.
Yeah. And I think it's because the culture in corporate America has changed. And no longer is there job security like there used to be 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Right.
People are not staying at companies as long as they are or as long as they were years ago. And so job security is just non-existent practically. And then you have age discrimination, over 50 years old, they're looking at you like you're a dinosaur and obsolete.
That you have no more value.
Like you have no more value. And so, over 40 and 50. So it's just one of those things where you have to take inventory of, how do you want to be valued? Do you want to create your own value or do you want someone else to create that for you? And so I just really believe that, entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
No, it's not. It really is not. Some people are not. I have friends who say, I can't do that. I need to have my check. So I applaud you for doing what you do, but I cannot live like you live in terms of on the edge. For them, it's like I live on the edge.
Yeah.
I don't think I live on the edge, but for them, they're like, you live on the edge, and I just need to have a check. So it's not designed for everyone.
Right.
Clearly.
Right. It's clearly not, because everyone is not capable of managing their time well.
Yes.
And everyone is not capable of networking and staying connected in different industries and knowing what's going on, and not just your industry, but everyone else's industry, because you have to know a little bit about everything as an entrepreneur. And there are just so many things to learn. And so one of the main things that I learned is that time is really not your friend, and you have to use that time wisely every single day, whether it's 8 hours a day, 10 hours or 12, whatever it is, you got to use it to your advantage.
And so what happens so many times as entrepreneurs, because we talk a whole lot offline and we kind of encourage each other, is that many times people will say, I want to meet with you. I want to pick your brain.
Right. The infamous pick your brain.
Can I take you to breakfast or lunch or coffee? I just want to pick your brain. I want to learn the things that you know that you can share with me.
Or give me some tips as to how I could possibly enter into entrepreneurship or how I can grow my business. That's a good one. And that's part of managing your time, because when I first started, I was taking all those pick my brain sessions, and
I was too. I was so excited. They want to pick my brain.
Thinking that it was validating me, but the fact is they're trying to get free advice and free consultation. And so I started a blog for that. You can go to the blog on my website and get all the free advice you want. And that's a part of learning my value and learning what I bring to the table, and not always giving it away for free. And that's one thing that entrepreneurs must do, is know your worth and know your value.
As someone once had a quote, and I put it on my page, it says, when you realize your value, you quit giving your services away. When you really realize what you bring to the table, sometimes you will say no. You may want to do it, but what we find is that I tell sometimes people, you have money for entertainment, but you don't have it for education.
Right.
So I'll pass.
Right.
They're like, that's like a no, that's like a no, I'll pass.
Exactly.
Because they can find money for what they want to find money for.
Right.
But if they don't have to, we have to realize our value. As you said, we have to realize our value. What do we bring to the table? Because time is a commodity you can't get back. Once it's spent,
it's gone. It's gone. And then you have to think of, okay, have I made my revenue goals for that month? Have I made my revenue goals for that quarter? And if I haven't, then you got to go back and look at, well, where did I spend my time? Where did I waste my time? And that's one thing that is a commodity, like you said, that you cannot get your time back. So you have to learn how to manage your time well as an entrepreneur. And please don't want to do something else like I did, like start a nonprofit organization.
But you have a successful nonprofit organization. So talking about your nonprofit, so in addition to being an entrepreneur, yes, you have a wonderful nonprofit.
Yeah, well, it was almost 2 years after I started my business that I started my nonprofit organization, and it was because I thought I had time. I thought I had time to actually do more philanthropy. And what I really realized was that I did not have time. I had the passion, but I didn't have the time for it. And so I am not a quitter. So after I decided to go ahead and start my nonprofit, I decided, well, you know what? I'm not going to fund this myself. I'm going to have to go out and get grants and sponsors, because I knew I wasn't going to pay out of my pocket to do the charity work that I wanted to do. And so I did. That was the way that I was able to do it. And with the corporate training that I had, I went out and I got grants and I got corporate sponsorships. And thank God, 9 years later, we're still here. And the nonprofit is called Live Healthy and Thrive Youth Foundation. And we're a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to children's health and wellness.
I mean, so you can see how that when God is in something, that he gives you whatever you need. He gave you the gift. He gave you the ability to do all those things. You didn't miss a beat. And you're helping youth. You're helping them to live healthier lives, because all those vending machines they go to, they don't provide a whole lot of healthy stuff in there.
No. And the sad thing is, in our society today, there's not enough programs to help children learn about alternative options, for healthy foods. And then we have something called deserts, food deserts. And the food deserts are the areas in our city and in the metropolitan area where there are no fresh food options. And so with that being said, you go to some of these schools and there's not a grocery store within 5 miles. There's not any type of health food store within 10 or 20 miles. And so these places are called food deserts, because the thing that you'll see in these communities are fast food restaurants and no other alternative options for food. And so many times in the poorest neighborhoods, our children are only having options like the big franchise fast food restaurants. I won't name any because I'm not saying that they're bad, but the bottom line is our families, especially the ones that are low income and in underprivileged areas, they deserve to have more healthier options so that they can have a fighting chance to lead healthier lifestyles. Because the one thing that research shows is that in underprivileged homes, they are going to live 10 to 12 years less than those people who are in middle class and upper end homes.
Just because of what they're ingesting, what
yes,
they're eating.
Just because of where they live and just because of the options that they have access to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So again, access, having access to things. When you don't have access to certain things, whether it's healthcare, food, good food, that you can eat healthier food. Because again, it's about changing diets, but you got to have the resources around you to be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why every year we, at Live Healthy and Thrive Youth Foundation, we build gardens in schools. And we pick a school out of the Atlanta area or the DeKalb County area, and we donate a garden from the ground up. And so we give kids an opportunity to really be active in their STEM program. And of course, the STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, so that they get to actually plant the food, watch it grow, and
eat it. I mean, so when that happens for the first time, what are some of the expressions of the youth? Because to plant it, to watch it grow, and then to be able to eat that, what is that like for them?
It's so amazing for me. It sometimes brings tears to my eyes, but just to see their excitement and enthusiasm about learning where food comes from, because many of them think that the food comes from a can because that's what they see when they get to the grocery store. Many times their parents buy canned food and or bags, in a bag or a box. And so when you haven't seen fresh vegetables and fresh fruit, you're looking at it with wonder in your eyes. You're like, wow.
This is really?
That's cabbage, or that's broccoli, or that's green beans. And they're looking at it like, wow, and they're empowered, they're educated. And education is really the thing that is a game changer for our children and for adults as well in every facet of our lives.
Learning. I said readers are leaders.
Yes. Yes.
And sometimes you have to be willing to read something for yourself, not going on what someone else's viewpoint is. What is your viewpoint of that?
Right.
What did you learn from that? Because people will put their spin on it. They watch something. You've heard movie reviews. People say, I didn't like that movie. But they're looking at it from their vantage point. You're like, I thought it was a 10.
Right. Because it's all about perspective. Yeah. And once we empower young people with the perspective that healthy food is good food, and that you can monitor your weight and you can monitor your lifestyle by what you eat and how you exercise, it's empowering. And it's uplifting to see them hold their parents accountable. Yeah.
But then they actually can start it with their peers. It could be like a ripple effect. They tell their peers, maybe they weren't a part of the garden, but they go back and say, we built this garden, we grew this garden, we grew cabbage and green beans and tomatoes, and they can basically begin to minister to their peers about, hey, we need to make better choices.
Yeah. And it helps because the children then want to do better. They want to have healthier options. And the most incredible thing is to see the parents come back and say, well, now my kids won't let me buy so-and-so.
No canned goods, we got to get it frozen or fresh.
Frozen or fresh and farm to table. And they really have such an interest, and it's so impactful because you see it making a difference right there in front of your eyes.
Wow, and so your foundation is helping to shift and shape the lives of our youth. So that's the one part. So you also help shift and change the lives of entrepreneurs as well.
Yes. So I have started a tour called Sponsorship Sales Secrets, where I teach entrepreneurs about working with corporations and getting grants for their businesses, because I don't care what you want to do. If you're a philanthropist, if you're an entrepreneur, you're going to need funding, and you're going to need some contracts that are larger than, $100.
Yes, that's nice. You totally do.
You're gonna need some 5-figure and 6-figure contracts.
So some zeros behind it, multiple zeros
behind it. Yes. And so when you go for those types of opportunities, it really can change the game for your business, and it really can open the door for various opportunities if you learn how to get those grants that are earmarked for women in business, that are earmarked for minorities, that are earmarked for whatever category you may, be in. If you know how to go get those grants and you know how to go get those corporate sponsors, it can truly change the game, and it can change your income level.
Yes, absolutely.
So I started this tour where I go speak to different entrepreneurs in various cities and teach them how to get corporate sponsors and how to get funding for their projects and events.
And so when they get that, they're like, yay, Lori, help me get this. It's like, I wouldn't have received that had I not known about how to do that.
Right. Because one thing for sure, knowledge is power. And I know it sounds cliche, but it truly is the backbone of everything. If you know what to do, you can do it.
Right.
If you don't know what you don't know, then you're stuck.
You're clueless because you don't even know what you need to know.
Right. And if you don't know the things that can help you grow your income, grow your influence, grow your brand, then the best thing to do is to hire someone who can help you and teach you the fast track, or either give you tips and tools, but don't expect them to give you those tips and tools for free.
Because you've learned through the school of sometimes hard knocks, rejection,
years of experience,
just things that have happened that have not worked out. So I want to give this all to you in one spiel. It's like, no, you gotta have some skin in the game.
Right. And I know that for a fact, when we pay for certain information, when we invest for help, we value it more. Because that's just human nature.
When there's a price tag attached to it.
Yeah.
Because how many times have people sometimes maybe come to an event or not shown up because it was a free event, so they signed up, says, I'm going to go, and then that afternoon it's raining outside, it's Friday, it's in Atlanta. No,
I'm not going.
I don't feel like driving downtown. You don't go because there's no skin in the game.
Right.
I remember once I bought a ticket to an event. It was on the north side of town. It was like a Thursday, and the ticket price was, for an entrepreneur, when it's more than $50, you're gonna go.
Yeah.
But this afternoon it was like, the weather was looking dismal. I'm like, I really don't want to drive. It's like a 45-minute to an hour drive.
Yeah.
But I said, you bought the ticket. I'm like, okay. So
right.
You put your clothes on and you go, because had I not bought a ticket,
you wouldn't have been there.
I wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
I would have apologized and said I didn't make it, but I had paid for that ticket. I said, I'm going to go to that event. So when there is money, when you have not just a fair amount of money, not like $10 ticket.
Any amount of money.
I mean, if I put $10, it would have been okay. But when I pay over, when I pay over $50 for a ticket to go someplace, I'm showing up.
Yeah. Because whether it's $50 or $100, every amount that you invest to grow yourself and your business, it counts. And you have to make some type of, I guess you could say reconcilable, something to determine, what did I get out of that?
Mm-hmm.
What did I learn from that? If I spent $100, I need to make $200, And if I invest, $500 in a program, I need to learn how to make $2,500
as a return
on the investment. And many times we don't see it that way when we're going out to networking events, or we're going out even to charity events and where there's a cause being celebrated. Did you know that most corporations have foundations where they give to nonprofit organizations? So even if you're going to charitable events where there's all about causes, that's a great way to meet other entrepreneurs as well as corporate leaders, because they have these initiatives and these platforms and these things that they care about, and making sure that their stakeholders and their audience knows that they support XYZ platform.
Absolutely. So the key thing is people you got to show up to go. You got to be willing to invest in you.
Yeah.
So if I need a coach, or if I need someone who's going to help me with sponsorship, or if I need someone who's going to help me with whatever my issue is, graphics, then find people who do that and be willing to pay them.
Yeah. Because that's the only way you're going to grow. That's the only way you're going to grow. There's an author called Carol Dweck, who I follow and I read her stuff, and she talks about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And when you have a growth mindset, you're going to do what it takes to grow as an individual, as a coach, if that's what you are, as a philanthropist, if that's what you are, whatever type of leader you are, you're going to invest in growth. But if you have a fixed mindset, you're going to come up with every negative reason as to why you can't do or won't do what you should do.
You got excuses because this happened. We can come up with all kinds of excuses about why we can't do that. But then we get mad at other people because they're doing things. I mean, we have to just keep going. No matter what happens, no matter how tough it may be, you just have to put your big girl clothes on or your big fella clothes on and just keep going. You cannot quit. Because we serve a God that says with men things are impossible. But with God, all things are possible. So tell people how they can reach you.
So you can go to my website, qualitymediaconsultants.com. That's qualitymediaconsultants.com.
And then you have a wonderful site on Facebook as well that people may want to join or check out. You have good information. You have experts.
Yeah, if you're an entrepreneur, you can also join my Facebook group. It's called Trailblazer Entrepreneur Nation. And we do trainings in that group and connecting and marketing our services. And it's just a bunch of nonprofit leaders, philanthropists, as well as business owners, women entrepreneurs, men entrepreneurs, connecting with like-minded people who want to win.
And so what's the biggest lesson you've learned in the next minute? Tell people what's maybe one. I know you've learned a lot of lessons because as an entrepreneur, we learn lots of lessons. What's the biggest lesson you've learned?
As an entrepreneur? Yeah. I would say the biggest lesson I've learned as an entrepreneur is basically you need to always be marketing. And the reason I know people think, oh, I'm not good at marketing. Oh, I don't know how to market. But one of the things that marketing is going to do for your business is going to keep the money coming. So it's going to keep the leads coming into your business, and it's going to keep the options for you to grow your business, because the more people who know about your business, the better chance you have of converting them into a paid customer. And so when you're marketing, you're getting leads. Whether those leads are warm, hot, or cold, they're still leads. And it's your responsibility to nurture those leads.
Yes.
But if you're not marketing and you're not putting the right messages out there to your target audience, they're not going to find you. And if they don't find you, then you're not going to get customers and you're not going to get paid. So marketing is about putting the messages out there for people in your target market, looking for your services, so that when they start looking, they'll find you.
You'll be top of mind.
Yeah.
It's those relationships. And you brought up a wonderful point in terms of the follow-up, because so many people, they meet people at events. They go to a networking event. They pass out the cards. They get each other's card, and they go home and it sits on their credenza.
Yeah.
And you have to follow up. I remember one time I actually called a client for 2 years off and on. 2 years. Before I got business with them.
Yeah, yeah. And the key thing to remember is it takes 7 to 10 touch points before someone buys from you. So if you're not following up on those leads that you get when you're marketing, you're leaving money on the table.
And most people, I have friends who say, I do it once or twice. After that, I'm not reaching out to them anymore. I'm like, but so you're putting yourself in a different quadrant than people like me who will continue to follow up, because I have gotten business because of just the persistence of just the follow-up. They said, if you can follow up for a whole year or 2 years with where we left off the last time, if you can do that, then we need to find something for you to do.
Right. And you know what? If you don't follow up, then you're leaving money on the table for people like me and Nancy who do.
And we'll take your part.
We'll take it all day.
We'll take it all day long. So it's important. I mean, Lori is a plethora of information. She has so many resources she can help you with. And the Trailblazer Entrepreneur Nation gives you some wonderful tidbits. They have experts for the week sometimes who share insights about publishing, starting your business, just all kinds of stuff.
Branding,
just go there.
Just
go there.
Yeah, just go. And on social media, I'm all over the internet.
Yeah.
So I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at I am Lori Manns. And my last name is Manns. And so you can connect with me there, or go to my website, qualitymediaconsultants.com, and join my email list where you will get a free gift about sales.
And she does lots of Facebook Lives, lots of information she provides to you. So she's out there big. She does a lot of stuff. She does Facebook Live regular. You see her picture, I'm going live. She's out there, so she does that. So it's been a blessing and a pleasure, Lori, to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
To talk about what you're doing in terms of your nonprofit, in terms of your business, and how you're changing the lives of our youth. Because when we get them young, we get a chance to mold them.
Yes.
And get them to think differently, as opposed to when they get 40 or 50, you're trying to...
Stuck in their ways.
It's easier to mold them when they're young as opposed to when they get mature.
Yes, absolutely.
And so you're helping the entrepreneurs also find their way. So I praise God that He will continue to expand your territory and do great things for you. So thanks again for joining us today on Conversations with Nancy J, where I'm your host, Nancy J. Lewis. And yeah, I do a lot of things as well. I do business and executive coaching. I speak for organizations on leveraging generations. I do a lot of great things, but I'm a marketplace evangelist. So I'm just going to challenge you as you go forward to be focused, don't give up, don't quit. Keep moving forward. Find people that are your trusted advisors, and never, 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 never quit. And I want you to be intentional and know that God loves you and I love you too. And have an amazing week until we see you next week. God bless.